let's all agree, if Africa is not in the picture, then there is no West. Even today, we used to say maybe they made wealth through Africa. West made wealth through Africa. Everything they have, they made it through Africa. But the truth of the matter is, even today, if Africa withdraw itself from the West, or if West withdraw itself from Africa, there is no West. It will start dying and dying and dying and become a third world country. It's not going to be anywhere, I'm telling you. So Africa fed Western countries when they came and colonized Africa. But even after they went, they knew they cannot live, they cannot survive without Africa. And that is why they are still in Africa today. So even if Africa withdraws today, they will still die. Dr. Rikana is putting this very clear, that France still needs Africa to survive. And without Africa, it's going to die. It's not France alone, but many other Western countries. They need Africa. And if Africa is not in the picture, they are definitely going to die. Listen to Dr. Rikana.
Anybody. If you look at the billions of dollars France is getting out of Africa every year, and then the fraction that they give back to Africa in the name of aid, out of what I like to call loot. They loot from us at night, and during the day they come back and give us a pittance of the loot in the name of aid. It is a joke. And how we Africans have tolerated this for centuries is sad. But it's not too late. Right. We have got to change this situation. We have got to start benefiting from our God-given natural resources. And yet, if you look at our minerals, we get royalties. French companies swoop into Africa. They bring Frenchmen to come and work in the mines, any industry, in the oil rigs, and we get royalties, 12 to 15%. It's mind-boggling. But Africa becomes a playground. We're like a football. They go there to just play and exploit it. I mean, you take, for example, you brought in France. I mean, if Francophone African countries were to decide today that all French companies must get out of Africa, that all the monies that are going to France, estimated at hundreds of billions of dollars annually, if all that funding would stop going to France today, France will immediately become the third world country. And then when you look at just the overall picture for us as Africans, we are disrespected so often. And how we feel on any issue is irrelevant. At least that's the feeling we get. We are exploited, have been for centuries. The exploitation continues. We are taken for granted as Africans, and quite often you can't help but wonder sometimes. And it's not just the US, we're talking in general by other countries. How much of it has to do with the pigmentation in our skin? Because it's done so systematically, and it gets in the way of development on the continent. We have some of the best tourist attractions in the world, and yet we are enjoying just a fraction of the tourism dollars around the globe. And a lot of it has to do with the brush we've been painted with over the years. We are the brightest continent. I would like to think that the sun shines brightest over Africa than anywhere else on earth, and yet we are referred to as the dark continent. Words like that, diseased and dying continent. Really? Look at me. Do I look diseased and dying? Just outrageous depiction of our beautiful continent that is designed to keep us at a certain place and never allow Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage. To me, that is the most painful thing. And it is such an uphill battle unless we come together as Africans and take a position and say enough is enough. We can no longer continue to tolerate abuse of any kind, in any way, shape, or form from anybody, ally or foe. They will continue to do it.
African nations need to stand up and stand by themselves, stand for themselves. African nations and African leaders need to come out from this bondage they're in, this bondage of serving Western people, this bondage of serving Western governments, serving imperialists, serving oppressors. This bondage is what they need to come out from it, because black people all over the world needs to be respected and needs to be valued. Black people from the US, from the diaspora, from everywhere, from the Caribbean, from Africa even, they need to receive and to get the respect they're supposed to get. And it can only happen if we put a stand. We make principles and we say, this is what we are going to do. This is what we want to do. This is what we are going to do. That's what we're supposed to do. Because we don't have stand and people think, these people, we can continue manipulating them and doing whatever we want to them. Because at the end of the day, there is nothing they're going to do to us. At the end of the day, they are going to accept. We are going to convince them and they are going to accept. They're not going even to oppose anything. But Africa is making these countries grow. Even today, we are still making them grow. Sometimes under threats, sometimes under greedy, sometimes under corruption. Like maybe someone is just corrupt and he wants to continue feeding Western countries. Maybe someone has been threatened and he feels like, if I don't do this, I'm going to be killed. And he decides to do whatever he is doing. Or rather, maybe someone is just greedy. He wants a lot of things. Therefore, he decides to bring in the Western people so that they can be able to continue invading. So Africa, even today, is still surviving because they are associating themselves with Africa. Western countries are still surviving because they are associating themselves with Africa. Without Africa, there is no any trace of survival in these people. These people will struggle the way Africans have struggled today. And Africans were not made to struggle. Africans were struggling because these people are making us struggle. Africans are struggling because these people are in our countries. But if they leave our countries, Africa is not going to struggle because Africa is going to lead itself. And I have a mind here. What is important between you serving someone so that this person can give you something, or you serving yourself and make that something you want to get from this person? What is important between me getting a ready-made something from someone at a cheaper price, or me using the materials and the assets I have to make that whatever the thing I want to get from this person myself? We find it difficult to work things out ourselves. That is why we're including Western countries in Africa. And that is one thing that Ibrahim Traore really does not want in Burkina Faso. That is why he took measures and he actually took a step of now deciding to make gold himself, to manufacture gold himself. The issues of exporting golds to Western countries, to Europe countries, and then those golds, when they are manufactured, those countries start making things from out of that gold, then they begin selling to Burkinabe people. It is something he said no to it. He said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it myself. I'll make them myself. under threats, whether whatever the thing that will come, doesn't care. He's gonna do it himself. That is what he said he's gonna do, and that is what he's doing today. And that is one thing that has really made has really been difficult to African leaders. African leaders think when they begin working things out themselves, they're going to be poor. Who told you you're going to be poor? African leaders think if they are going when they withdraw from the Western powers and from the imperialists, they're going to be killed. Is Ibrahim Traore killed? He's being protected by God because he's doing what is right. Of course, you will also be protected when you do what is right. Okay? So we need to come out and say no to this bad leadership, to this bad governance, to say no to every single thing that is taking Africa back. Because we are struggling to build Africa, we're struggling to make Africa the country that it's supposed to be, because Africa is not the country that it's supposed to be today. Africa still struggles, and Africa is not meant to struggle. Africa is a continent that is blessed by God. Africa is a continent that is rich, is wealthy, and it's blessed in every corner. I'm telling you the truth. And therefore, if we want to build Africa, we have to retain what belongs to us. We are selling the inheritance we are having. And this is through the leaders we are electing. PLO Lumumba said that we vote, we do our elections, and after we are done with the elections, they come, they visit our presidents. You will see Macron coming, visiting your president. You will see Donald Trump coming, visiting your president, or asking your president to go there and meet him. You will see those people, all of them coming and visiting your president. Why are they coming to visit your president? Because they are making deals with them. And because we are greedy and we are corrupt, we accept the deals. After accepting the deals, we think we are only benefiting ourselves, or rather making ourselves rich. But at the end of the day, what do? We are killing the continent. That's what we are doing. But we can put this to an end. We say no more association with Europe. When we say no more association with Europe, we are going to make Africa rich. Instead of waiting for us to be given richness or to be given wealth, we can create wealth ourselves. That is the mentality of Ibrahim Traore. That's the mentality of the King of Africa, the mentality of the President of Africa. That is the mentality. Instead of getting little wealth from the West, we can create our wealth ourselves. We can create our wealth ourselves. And by creating our wealth ourselves, that means we are free. But if we depend on the small wealth we're being given little by little every time, what does that mean? It means we shall continue being seated on top of. They will do whatever they want to us because we will not be free. We will not have that freedom. We will not have that, we will just be bound. Okay? And therefore, we need to put a stop. We need to put an end to that. We really need to put a stop and put an end to that. They are rich because of us. And even today, whether they like it or not, we are making them rich. Everything they have, even today, we are making, but they cannot accept we're making them rich because they don't want to be seen like they're down. They always want to be seen as people who are up. They don't want to be seen as people who need us to be able to survive. But in real sense, they need Africa to survive. Africa is what is making them maintain their wealth. Africa is what is making them be where they are. But if Africa withdraws itself from the Europe issues and matters, Europe is going to go down. I'm telling you that for free. Because Europe don't have minerals. Europe don't have minerals. Europe don't have fertile lands. Europe don't have where their food. Africa is the only continent that has natural food. It's coming from Africa. Healthy food is coming from Africa, which means Africa is actually holding the world. Africa is what is holding the world. The whole world is on Africa. Dr. Arikana, I agree with you on that. And therefore, Africans need to think. Think today, think tomorrow, think every time, especially African politicians and African leaders. I am the African Streamline. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to pump that message to you. And once it's there, I know you're going to think about it. And African leaders and politicians, they're going to think about it. Thank you so much for being here, my black brothers from Caribbean, from diaspora, and from Caribbean, from Africa in particular. I love you so much. You people are great people. Adios, muchachos.